And joining me now, the Middle East analyst Edmund Ghareeb, who's with me in the studio here in Washington. We have a lot of work to get through, so you can answer fairly briefly if you like. First of all, we are told by our correspondent there that the turnout is down on day one. What does that tell you?
Well, this is actually a very important point because how we are going to look at this, voting is the percentage of people who are going to participate in it. President Sisi won the last time by 91%, but the percentage of people who voted was 47%. So it's going to be very significant now to see whether or not people are boycotting or whether they are participating.
Well, let's look at some of the amendments on the table. There are many of them, but this is just a handful. First of all, giving the army basically more powers.
Undoubtedly, the army is going to be playing a bigger role. It's given more authority. It's consecrating the authority of the army. It's basically saying that the army has a special role, and somewhat vague, the language that was used in protecting not only the country and the people and defending it, but also protecting basically the democracy and the liberties and the progress of the people of Egypt.
Now, another amendment might end up in President Sisi being in power for almost another decade. Tell us about that.
This is the most controversial of all of these new amendments because especially people who participated in the uprisings against President Mubarak, they think that this amendment is leading the country towards more authoritarianism and sort of a return to the era of Mubarak, because basically what it's saying is that, first of all, they extended the period of the presidency, the term, from 4 years to 6 years, and then it's going to be for two terms. So his current term will end in 24, and then if he runs for another term, he could stay there for a whole decade.
Okay. Well, there are other amendments, as I say, involving women and the increase of women in parliamentary positions around the country, youth, Christians, expats being given more of a say, peasants and workers more of a say as well. That wraps up the key ones. But let's look at this authoritarian thing with what you've discussed regarding President Sisi and the army. Is there a real risk of return to authoritarianism as seen in Egypt in the days of Mubarak?
There's no doubt about it. The risk is there. The question is, are we likely to see any changes down the road? I mean, some people are saying the Constitution is not the Quran, so basically it's not the Word of God. But people are concerned because there was an agreement that any president, future president, after 2011 uprisings, would serve for 2 terms, 4 years each. So now this is a change. This is going to add. So there's a lot of concern on that.
I do think it's worth making the point, though, that in the West, for example, more freedoms, more liberalization equals stability, generally speaking. Do you think that in Egypt it's almost the other way around, that they want stability first, but they will limit freedoms in order to obtain stability?
This is an excellent and a very important point because there are 2 different visions here. In the West, basically, if you want stability, you have more freedom, you have more and more people participating, less controlled by the government. While here, people believe that because of the unusual circumstances that the country is going through, the terrorism that's still taking place, that you need stability. If you're going to achieve economic growth, have economic development. If you want to be able to be safe to go out at night, you need stability and you need security. And only the army and the security forces can guarantee that and also can support the programs of President Sisi. That's at least the position that's seen in Egypt.
Right. And the voting goes on for another 2 days.
Yes.
Edmund Ghareeb, thank you very much.
Thank you
very much.